Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today. My name is Melrose, and I'm here to share your daily aspects. Today is Tuesday, May 10, 2022. Sun is in Taurus, and we have a waxing gibbous moon in Virgo. Taurus is our fixed earth sign, and it's ruled by Venus, the receptive facet of our lives. When Sun is in Taurus, our major life focus is likely to be on our physical resources and how we get them. We look around for ways to secure the resources we need that aren't variable or very much subject to change. And this can be a tough job when rebellion-minded Uranus is also in Taurus. Mainly since 2018, many of our reliable sources have become less reliable, and we have had to learn to be flexible about where and how we get what we need. Fortunately, Venus, the planet that rules Taurus, is currently transiting Aries, blending receptiveness with initiative. We're actively engaged at this time in the shifting landscape of our sources and resources. North Node is also currently placed in Taurus. Now, the nodes are not planets, but polar opposite points where the moon's ecliptic crosses the Earth's ecliptic. And the North Node represents the stuff we avidly pursue. So, North Node in Taurus puts us in an insatiable frame of mind when it comes to the pursuit of material resources. This gives us an advantage over the shifting landscape of our security that Uranus and Taurus is bringing in. And North Node in Taurus is also a reminder not to hoard all the gold or to forget our human connections in pursuit of goods. The waxing gibbous moon in Virgo invites us to share the wealth. In fact, Virgo is mutable earth, and this points to the dispersal or sharing of material resources for the sake of solving problems and attaining goals. This is where we physically pay out what has to be spent to generate the outcomes we desire. Solar Beltane began on May 1st. We are now well past the solar midpoint between spring equinox and summer solstice. I am personally still in observation of this Beltane because the lunar midpoint is coming up this Sunday night with a full moon and a total lunar eclipse in Scorpio. These 2 weeks of creative culmination at the midpoint of the sun's increase to peak influence have been significant because we can generate a lot of growth for ourselves and our communities at this time. The coming full moon can truly be a culminative celebration of the bounty we are witnessing in our lives and all around us. And it's important to remember to celebrate our material resources at this time, our bodies, our jobs and businesses, and the people who keep us in business. The sources of our livelihood are the subject of our rituals and prayers for strength and increase. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get into the aspects, but first I will point out the handcrafted key on the right-hand side of the page. Most of the symbols on the page have made it into the key. If you desire a point of reference, it's right over here. I've otherwise divided the page into 2 columns, one for each of our luminaries. The moon is the luminary that sheds light on our inner lives. This is your relationship with yourself, what it feels like for you to be in your body, heart, and mind, and in your home. The transits and aspects the moon makes are all very brief, and they have a subtle impact on those things you think, feel, know, and intuit, but may choose whether to express. The sun is the luminary that sheds light on our outer lives. This is the outward expression of yourself in the world, specifically in your work, social, and civic spaces. I address the sun and the rest of the planet's movements on this side because these have a greater effect on that outward expression. And we begin on the moon side today at 3:09 this morning. Central Standard Time, friends. Moon goes square to Mercury. Gemini, Cancer, Virgo probably notice this the most. This appears as a sort of preamble to Mercury's imminent retrograde this morning. We may face some challenges when it comes to saying what's in our hearts or making plans that regard our loved ones in our home space. This is a 2-hour vibe that doesn't have to come with us into the rest of the day if we are willing to let it go by. Then at 10:27 this evening, Moon goes trine to Uranus. Cancer, Virgo, and Aquarius would be most likely to notice this. Almost directly contrary to this previous lunar aspect, this one gives us very functional energy toward impulsive changes of heart or in the home. Where Uranus is involved, I always recommend communication, but during this brief aspect, we can shift things around without much in the way of drama or conflict coming up for us in the heart and home. On the Sun side today, at 4:47 this morning, Mercury goes retrograde. Mercury just entered its home sign of Gemini a short while ago. This 3 weeks retrograde will eventually drag it back into Taurus, and this indicates a back and forth shifting between plans and conversations about getting resources and plans and conversations about how to share our best ideas and analyses. Mercury in retrograde has that shifting quality to it anyway. Mercury moves quickly, so plans can change fast. We can be of two minds in situations where we need to make one choice. We may find ourselves saying things that we don't mean, or having said what we meant, then changing our minds. Also, in the case of devices for communication and transformation that we rely on, we can run into hiccups or full stops. This is the intellect in an uncompromising backwards slide, okay? It will help us at this time to be very patient with ourselves and others. It will help a lot to try more listening and less explaining. And when we get slowed down or our plans suddenly change, it can be very helpful to take a more passive or playful approach so that we don't wind up just beating our heads against that wall of what it is that isn't happening. Then at 6:22 this evening, Jupiter makes ingress to Aries. So Jupiter has been in Pisces on and off, but mostly on since May of last year. And Jupiter expands everything it touches. So Jupiter in Pisces expanded our sense of compassion, guiding us to give of ourselves. Jupiter will even influence us to give till it hurts, because Jupiter knows there's always more to be had. And we also allowed, while Jupiter was in Pisces, for our imaginations to expand, specifically regarding what we can be, do, and have. Now Jupiter moves into Aries, and Jupiter will remain in Aries on and off, but mostly on for approximately another year. Jupiter becomes a bit of a twisted, gleeful fire starter at this time. Our egos are expanding, and we put more stock in our own plans and our ideas. Our confidence is growing as well, and we can start projects and express ourselves and our big ideas and even take big leaps in full faith in ourselves and our teams. And the really good news about Jupiter in Aries is that we see a greater benefit when we take charge. Of course, we have to be in charge of ourselves first and always, but it also pays at this time to show strength through leadership in areas where we know how to succeed. Prosperity and good fortune at this time go to those with faith in themselves and a head for quick and real progress. Now, these two, Mercury retrograde and Jupiter ingress Aries, are fairly significant transits sort of coming at us at the same time on the same day. And I see that this signals a time to think and plan more than we speak or commit. It's a time to strategize our progress toward the big plan, that expanded idea of what we can be, do, and have, and also what resources we have to acquire to reach those goals. Mercury retrograde cautions patience for now while we build up power to make those big moves. In the ongoing column, Mercury sextile Venus will be with us through tomorrow. For nearly a month, this aspect has been providing positive, cooperative vibes between the intellect and our ability to attract what we need and desire. Taurus, Gemini, Virgo, and Libra have ruling planets here. We are now and have been empowered to negotiate the terms by which we receive attention, affection, and compensation. Hopefully, we have felt the boldness of Venus's placement in Aries when advocating for ourselves. Let's remember, friends, not to sell ourselves short. When we do that and we go without the things we need or desire, we have only ourselves to account to for that. Through May 13th, so that's tomorrow through the 11th, through the 13th here, we have Mars sextile Uranus, bringing us fun, positivity, and impulsive speed as we go through our shifts and changes. Aries, Scorpio, and Aquarius may especially notice this vibe, but again, they're all for everybody. We're graced with quick, intuitive decision making, and we can have a good time watching our plans come together as we actively work them into being. Mercury sextile Jupiter will be with us through the 28th. Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. This month we have exceptional mental clarity regarding the big picture in our lives. This has been the time to articulate the bigger, badder, more complex and satisfying plan that we envision for ourselves. Mercury has gone retrograde as of today, so perhaps less articulation and more analysis and strategizing are in order. Commit to nothing, but plan for all the larger potentials. Sun sextile Mars will remain in aspect through the 4th of June. Aries, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio have ruling planets here. This influence wants us to feel alive and juiced up with the energy to act, to pursue, and to satisfy our physical drives. And object in motion tends to stay in motion, and this aspect lends us power and speed in the forward direction of our needs and desires being met. Mercury trine Pluto will be here with us through the 19th of June. Gemini, Virgo, and Scorpio, this would be something you would notice especially. This aspect seemed to reinforce the fact that this was an ideal time to share our thoughts and plans with others. But now that Mercury is traveling retrograde, the guidance has more to do with listening in a deep way to what our senses are telling us about the endings and beginnings that are coming up or already present in our lives. And Pluto is also retrograde. So you've got Mercury trine Pluto, but it's retrograde Mercury trine retrograde Pluto, okay? So the things that we're moving forward, we have to do the more back-ended approach to them, okay? So when Mercury is about communication and traveling and our thoughts and plans, it's more time during Mercury retrograde to sit back and think and plan and strategize than to communicate, right? We don't sign contracts, we just build up the ideas for them. And when Pluto is retrograde, the transformations that we're going through, the endings and beginnings, are not so noticeable in our outside life so much as they are on our inside life. Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio, but its transits take so long that it impacts more large groups of humanity. The different generations will be differently affected by Pluto's movements. And this is Pluto's final retrograde in Capricorn after transiting Capricorn since the 90s, friends. Pluto is in the home stretch, almost done, bringing endings and beginnings to our institutions and traditions. What worked in the old world often no longer works in the new world, and this is the evolution that Pluto in Capricorn has wrought for us. So this final retrograde in Capricorn is bound to bring intensity as we go through some more shifts in our internal sense of what works for us to achieve our goals and build something strong. This is also a time when the things that don't work, like bad habits, toxicity in our relationships, poor money management, these things will be painfully clear to us. Don't worry, we have loads of initiative, momentum, and power on our side at this time. The transformation is upon us, and we are engaged in the process. This Sunday will bring us the full moon in Scorpio, which is also lunar Beltane, or the moon's midpoint between equinox and solstice. There will be a total lunar eclipse that night, visible in Central Standard Time just after 11 p.m. The lunar observation of Beltane is a chance to celebrate the increase of physical comfort and security in our private, domestic spaces and among the people that we keep close to us. And that is it for today's astrology, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like my video, subscribe, click the notifications bell. I post here every day, and I wouldn't want you to miss a thing. And friends, I appreciate it so much when you comment to ask questions or provide encouragement. I am encouraged. I am delighted by the questions that you have for me. I love being engaged in conversation with you guys. It isn't just gratifying for me to know that you're listening, but it also lets YouTube know that you're engaged in the content. And that is important as well. So thank you. Also, if you know anyone for whom this guidance may resonate, I encourage you to share. If you feel like you're good at getting good information, why not just pass that good information along directly to somebody else as well? Now, I'm going to take a couple of minutes to talk about Tarot as it relates to astrology today. First, I will discuss the Tarot card that sits on the side of the page. Then I'll do a quick rundown, as quickly as I may, of today's astrology before throwing a random card that hopefully speaks to today's energies. So let's go ahead and get into that. The card that sits on the side of the page today is the Six of Pentacles, and today is the final day of the second 10 days of the sun's transit through Taurus. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to switch to another card. It'll be the final 10 days of the sun's transit through Taurus. But right now we're still kind of in the middle of the sun's transit through Taurus. And the sun's transit through Taurus is sort of the middle between the peak of the spring and the peak of summer. So here we are. Our seeds have sprouted. They've put down roots. They're taking in nutrients from the soil, from the sun, from the water, and they're growing strong. That's what happens when the sun is in Taurus. And, you know, that's a literal thing, and that's also an allegorical thing. So, you know, it just in terms of our own lives, the seeds that we have planted are starting to, if we have attended them well, we're starting to grow. They're starting to grow strong. And the Six of Pentacles, Pentacles is Earth, and Taurus is Earth. So it is really still very much about drawing in the resources that we need to feel supported and secure in our lives. So Six of Pentacles represents a point in time where someone has garnered for themselves enough physical resources that they have enough to feel supported and secure, and also have enough to share. And this is just a reminder, you know, the Five of Pentacles, we had that for 10 days, and that was, you know, being in a place of lack, sort of the opposite of this, lacking physical resources that you need, and being sort of on your knees side of the equation, right? So, and a reminder to ask for help. And in this situation, you've become the resource, you've become the institution, or the, you know, the well-resourced individual to whom people can turn for support in their own growth and expansion. And this is a reminder that, you know, if you can be that resource, if you can be that help to others in terms of physical resources, whether it be, you know, you have a healthy body and capability to help people who are less capable, or you have a healthy bank account and capability to help people who are less capable financially, you know, now is the time to think about and remember that it's only fair, that's what the scales say, it's only fair and balanced to weigh out some of what you have and give it to others, so that we can all be lifted up in terms of security and stability and the resources that we need. Okay, and with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and shuffle some cards while I remind myself and the cards that the sun is in Taurus, and sun in Taurus, again, is just a time when we're growing green and strong. We're taking in resources and we're turning them into, you know, a bigger, better version of ourselves. That's what we do with it at that time. And then, you know, the Uranus is also in Taurus, so this really does represent, since 2018, sort of a shifting and changing in the landscape of how we get the things that we need and desire. You know, we've had to become flexible and learn how to source things from different places and different people, and, you know, just different approaches to getting what we need. And then North Node is also in Taurus right now, and, you know, that's like this sort of voracious appetite to bring in those resources for our own support. And, you know, that gives us an advantage over that shifting landscape, because it's like, sure, whatever I have to do, I'm going to go ahead and go after those resources that I need. It is also in itself a reminder not to hoard all the gold, to share the resources that you have, because North Node really just sort of has an insatiable appetite for what it is that it pursues. And at this time, North Node and Taurus pursuing those resources that we need for our security and stability, right? And they may be resources that we need for our security and stability. But if we find that our larder is full and we have more than we can possibly use, are we going to let that stuff go to waste? No, we're going to share it with others, right? Okay, and then also the moon in Virgo is asking us to share the wealth. Okay, the waxing gibbous moon has us, taking action toward the culmination of our goals, taking actions on the plans we made, the intentions we set with the new moon. And Virgo is mutable earth. It disperses, it shares physical resources, material resources. So in this waxing gibbous mode, it's really just like, okay, now is the time to disperse the funds and other material resources that it takes for us to reach our culmination with the full moon here, or our partial culmination with the full moon here, so that we've given out what we need to give so that we can have the things that we have that we want to have in time for that. And on the moon side of the page, we started with kind of a challenging aspect, and it's really sort of a prelude to this Mercury retrograde is what it feels like. It's just like we're challenged to say what we feel. We're challenged to understand how we feel, and this is particularly in the heart and in the home, our personal lives. It's only a 2-hour vibe, so perhaps less saying what we think and more listening to what other people are saying about how they feel, or more just listening to the vibe in the room. It might help us out, but it's still, again, only a 2-hour vibe, so don't drag it into the rest of the day if you can help it. And then on the moon side in the evening at 10:27, we get this beautiful trine energy, which is the most ideal possible positive functioning energy for making changes and going through changes of heart, or making shifts in our home space among the people that we keep close to us. And we can make those changes with harmonious outcomes. Again, I always say when it's Moon and Uranus, please communicate with the people you keep close so they understand what the changes are that you're trying to make. But at this time, it shouldn't be a problem. We can just make them without the drama or the chaos, and things will go well for us. On the sun side of the page today, Mercury going retrograde for the next 3 weeks. This is the intellect in a backward slide, and it doesn't mean that we just think backwards, but it just means that we are challenged in our thoughts, plans, and communications, in our ability to just move quickly forward. Things are going to stop us. Things are going to come up with our electronics, in our transportation. You might notice more bananas behavior in the traffic as you're out there, dealing with other people trying to get down the road as well. But our communications as well, it's important to remember to listen at this time, perhaps a little bit more than we speak. It's important to be thinking and strategizing, and not necessarily just always saying exactly what we think. And that's Mercury retrograde. And then Jupiter makes ingress to Aries today. So this is this is the beginning of 5 months, but really a year overall of expanding ego. So be careful. We can become more egotistical. Okay. We can become a little more self-centered at this time. Our confidence is also expanding. Our confidence to sort of put forward our big ideas and to act on our big ideas is really growing. And at this time, you can see a lot of good fortune and rewards, even like increased compensation come in when you are able to show leadership in a situation where you know how to succeed. You show leadership, you get that success, and then people will be impressed with you, and they'll be able to get on board with your bigger, badder, more expanded version of yourselves, right? And then Pluto in retrograde, the evolutions are happening on the inside right now. It's about 6 months out of the year, they're on the outside, and then 6 months out of the year, they're on the inside. We go through endings and beginnings all the time. These are slow. They affect generational wide groups of people. Okay. So it's not just you. And if you notice that you're in transition, you've got endings and beginnings going on in your life, then understand that there are a lot of people that do. We're all going through these evolutions at this time, and it's all happening in our hearts and in our minds and in our depths and our subconscious at this time. So, be tender with yourself and be tender with other people. And with all of that said, I'm going to turn this card. The Seven of Pentacles, friends. Okay, so Like I said, today is the last day for the Six of Pentacles, right? We're going to move into tomorrow into the sun's last 10 days in Taurus, and that is represented by the Seven of Pentacles. So here I clearly see a progression happening, right? We are moving forward in spite of these retrogrades that we see. We can still make progress on the receipt of our material resources that we need and desire to feel stable and secure in our lives. So, Seven of Pentacles is really kind of like you've put in hard work, and you have persevered in your diligent efforts to make your things go strong, make your plans grow strong, make yourself grow strong. You've been diligent about bringing to fruition your best idea about yourself. There's a lot of hard work that has already gone into this, but it is not the time to sit back and rest, okay? It is the time to focus our energies right now toward that ending/beginning push, okay? It's time to focus our energies and our efforts toward the culmination of those goals. And that's right here with the waxing gibbous moon as well. Keep your mind on your resources. Virgo is going to ask you to disperse some resources. Disperse them wisely. Remember, we got the devil yesterday, and the devil was a reminder not to disperse our resources on, just the things that we like and want and that make us feel good, but also to be mindful to disperse our resources toward the things that we need and the things that really support this bigger, badder, more expanded version of ourselves that we seek, okay? So 6 and 7 together, Pentacles and Pentacles, friends. Pentacles, Earth and Earth right there, Earth and Earth right there, okay? So it's all about the physical resources, okay? It's about, how well are you keeping your own body and, to the best of your ability, and how well are you keeping your own stuff, like the nice things that you have. Are you keeping them nice? Are you taking care of them? But mostly, how well are you keeping your wealth and your finances in check, okay? You've got to be, receiving. You've got to be open to receive from multiple resources at this point. You can't just rely on one source, because Uranus is in Taurus, okay? You got to be open to receiving from multiple sources. But also, you have to be very focused on using your resources wisely, and that's what this tells us. One way to use your resources wisely is to help bring the other people up around you, and then the other is just to remain focused and diligent in your efforts to grow your own resources. And I think that's all I have to say about it today, friends. Thank you all so much for being here. I truly appreciate your presence. My name is Mel Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today.